Hey, what's up, bookworms? We've got our final review of 2025. And also, if you stay tuned after the review, I'll also have a brief recap of my 2025 reading list. So stay tuned for that after we talk about Tinkers. Tinkers by Paul Harding is my last review for the books I've read of 2025. It was originally published in 2009 and it won the 2010 Pulitzer Prize. A really brief synopsis. George Crosby is on his deathbed, and we, the reader, get to explore that by him reliving memories of his childhood and of his father, Howard. George is he's a watch repairman, but he also does other things, and so he's a tinker. And then his father, Howard, was also a tinker who also sold household goods from a donkey driven cart. We also learn about Howard's father, so George's grandfather, who was a minister who fell ill when George was a boy. And the book is really about the threads that connect, grandfather to father to son, and it explores those connections and how a father influences uh, his son and his life. I look. I won't beat around the bush here. I absolutely loved this book. The narrative is very evocative. It's very emotional. It moves between George and Howard and letting you see into their lives. It The way that they're connected. So a big kind of theme of the book is about watch and clockwork, and the both of them, George and Howard, being tinkers in their respective lives. And it's the threads that connect them are the same as how, like, it's the cogs of a watch are connected together, and how they influence one another to tell time on a watch. Um this book, it really resonated with me for a lot of reasons that I'm not gonna go into. And Harding's prose was absolutely magnificent. It reminded me of Cormac McCarthy, because much like McCarthy, Harding in this, very minimal punctuation. There's no quotation marks, or I'm sure there were commas, but there weren't very many. But because his prose is so strong, and the way he tells the narrative using the way George and Howard are thinking about their lives and about their respective fathers and whatnot, it's never hard to follow who's talking or what's happening, or when we've changed from one point of view to another. It's incredible the way that he does it. And the only other author I know that does that as well as this is Cormac McCarthy. That's why it kind of reminded me. They're very different writers for sure, but that just kind of reminded me immediately of some of the Cormac McCarthy books that I've read. It's after a few pages, honestly, I didn't even notice that it was doing it. I noticed it at first, but I'd say 2-3 pages in, it's just done so well that I mean, it's masterful. Just absolutely, I can't talk about that enough of how impressed I was by that, and honestly, kind of jealous of how easily he seems to do it. I'm sure he would say it wasn't easy, but it seemed it to me. It read off as very just nonchalant the way he was able to execute it. This was the shortest book that I read this past year. However, it punches way above its weight class. I'll say. Looking at post reading reviews, they're all glowing. I don't think I saw any bad reviews, which makes sense, as this it won the Pulitzer Prize, and it won it for a reason. So of course we come to the question: should you read Tinkers? Honestly, this I struggled when writing my written review before doing the recording of whether or not I think other people should, most other people should read this. Because I don't know, this is a book that I don't this isn't a book for everyone. If And that's not to say it's too smart for anyone. If you've watched any of my other reviews, I don't believe that's a thing. I don't believe a book can be too smart for someone. It comes down to what your preference is for how you like to spend your reading time. if you like your to spend your reading time to just be like, look, I just, if you like just escapism, you like swashbuckling stories, lots of action, you won't like Tinkers. It doesn't have any of that. This is an emotionally evocative story that delves into the connections between a father and a son. That's what this story is about. And if that's not something you're interested in reading or you don't find interesting in of itself, you shouldn't read this. But it's so well done. And it's also short. I mean, it's like 200 and something pages that even if you don't think it's something you would normally read or something that you would normally like, I still think you should read it. That's how good this book is. So, yes, you should absolutely read. You should absolutely read Tinkers. I recommend it to anyone and everyone. Absolutely beautiful, beautiful book. And because of that, I mean, obviously, Tinkers gets 5 bookworms out of 5. Okay, so thank you for watching all the book reviews that I've put up this year. If you haven't watched, you're like, I haven't watched all of them. Go pause this one, go to the channel, look at some of the other reviews. There's several of them up there, and 1 or 2 other types of videos as well. I mostly do reviews. But thank you for watching my book reviews over the course of the year. I really appreciate that. It means a lot to me. I like talking about books, and I like thinking about books, and books and literature is just, I think it's it's the highest form of art in my opinion. I don't think anything is more important than reading and then a book. I read 11 books over the course of 2025, and that's a pretty solid number. And here, let's see. Here they are right now. So let's just put them up there and there and there, and just put them all over. They're all over. Okay. 11 books over the course of 2025. And I know there are plenty of people who put stuff up doing book reviews and doing other types of videos that read like 11 books a month or something like that. They read double and triple of what I've read and everything. And look, I don't care. And honestly, you shouldn't care either. Reading shouldn't be something that you do just so you can reach a certain number, so you can check a box. Reading, maybe you only read 1 book in 2025. You know what? That's great. I only had 2 goals this past year, and that was to read some authors that I had never read before and to post a review for each book that I've read. And I did that, and I'm proud of that. Trying to hit numbers turns reading into a job, and reading shouldn't be a job. Like, I just some other so often people turn things that are supposed to be about some escapism, but also maybe learning some different ideas and different points of view, and they're taking it, and it's not just books, it's music too, and it's also video games, and it's all kinds of different forms of art, and people are trying to turn art into jobs, and it's like, or at least talking about art into jobs, and it's like, that shouldn't be a job. Like, reading should be fun. And too often I think that when you're trying to be like, oh well, this person, they read 13 books in just the first 3 months, and they read a book a week, and that's great. Like, that's great for them. But I don't think it's smart for anyone to try to keep up with anyone else. I read 11 books last year. I'm really happy with that. I could have read 2 books last year, and I would have been happy with that. It not everybody has the time to do what some people do with books. And for me, they're just turning books into a commodity, and I don't think that's okay. I enjoy talking about books because I enjoy reading, and that's all you should do as well. So, all right, let's clear it out. Let's get all these out of here. I've got 2 awards to give for last year for the books that I read. 2 categories. First is the best book that I read, and then my favorite book. Now, I define the best book that I read as the book that had the best prose, the best story, the best characters, and has something of a deeper subject matter to it, or at least the undercurrent of a deeper message behind it. That's how I would define the best book that I read. My favorite book is just that. It's the book I had the most fun reading. It's the one that I would recommend the most. It's the one that that was just, it was just fun. It was fun. I liked it, right? Like that's my favorite book. The best book that I read last year. There were a couple that I thought about for this. There was there was the Killer Angels. There was Tinkers. Honestly, was pretty high up there. But one book I keep going back to, and I've thought about it a lot and about how it was written and the way it was written. And it's really also, I don't know that there's a lot of books like it that are being, especially of in the genre of science fiction, that are being written like this. And that's Hyperion. Hyperion is the best book that I read last year. It is a magnificent, amazing, beautiful, beautiful story with an amazing journey and an intricate, just interwoven plot lines and elements. And I'm very much looking forward to reading the follow up, hopefully this year. Now, my favorite book that I read last year, this one there was no question. It was Dungeon Crawler Carl. That book is just a non-stop roller coaster thrill ride of a story. It's super fun. It is funny. It's also interesting. It's well written. The characters are fun. Everybody, if you just want to have a good time, read Dungeon Crawler Carl. Go buy a copy right now. Pick it up, read it. You won't be sorry. Anticlimactic. I know if you want to learn more about those two specific books or any other books that I've had up here, go check out the other reviews that I've got on the channel, or don't. I don't really care. I have a large stack of to read books. So be on the lookout for more reviews here in 2026. I'll share those over the course of the year. I've also got some other plans for a few other video ideas that maybe I'll do, maybe I won't. I don't know. I don't like to make any promises because that's just not how I do things. So be on the lookout, but be on the lookout for more videos. Now, look, get off YouTube, go read a book. See you later.